Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the LFO that comes with the Mother 32. An LFO is a low frequency oscillator, which is very similar in some ways to a normal oscillator that we expect to hear, except an LFO typically produces much lower frequencies below what we can hear most of the time. And we use that to control or change or modulate various parameters of the synth so that the sound that we're producing changes or modulates over time. Now, this is a really important tool. Pretty much every synth has at least one LFO on it. And when we're doing sound design, they're really important to make our sounds evolve and change and kind of shift over time to get away from that static kind of plastic boring sound that we otherwise might get. So let's jump onto the Mother 32 and take a look at the LFO section. It mostly circles around here. We have the LFO rate control here, which just controls the speed of the LFO from very, very slow to all the way so fast that it's actually audible, potentially. We have a wave control here, which switches between a triangle wave on the bottom and a square wave on the top. And then we have these modulation controls here on the left for the oscillator and for the right for the filter, which we can use with the LFO. These are essentially pre-configured modulation options that come with the Mother 32, and then what makes this a semi-modular rather than a completely modular synth. So let's run through those default modulation options, and then we'll look at some toys and tricks we can do with the patch bay. So to start with, let's take this LFO and look at the VCO mod here. Now the VCO mod lets us modulate a couple of different things about the oscillator up here. You can see the VCO mod destination on the right. Let us choose between modulating the pulse width, or this control here, or the frequency, which is this control here. And on the left of the VCO mod amount control, we have the mod source. In the up position, it will pull from the envelopes, but in the down position, it will pull from this LFO. So we have this set to pulse width. We're going to make sure we're using a pulse wave, because if we modulate the pulse width, but we're using a saw wave, we won't hear anything. And then we're going to slowly bring up the mod amount so you can hear what that sounds like. And if I turn it into a triangle wave rather than a square, we'll get a much smoother sound. This is basically doing the same thing as if I did this, but it does it automatically. Now, the other option here is the frequency, and that'll let us use the mod amount to control the pitch with the LFO. You can hear on lower speeds you get this very distinctive wobbling motion, and as you turn the LFO rate up and it actually starts to become almost an audible frequency itself, you get these kind of buzzy, almost metallic, sometimes a bit discordant FM style effects that can be really creatively useful. Now, the third kind of built-in LFO routing option we have is over here on the VCF mod amount. So I'm going to turn down the VCO, so we're not doing anything here. I'm going to take a look here. Just the same, we have a mod amount. In this case, it's just controlling the cutoff frequency here of the filter. On the left-hand side, we have a switch between, again, envelope in the top or LFO in the bottom. And on the right-hand side, this time we have a polarity switch. That basically means either the LFO will start by going up and then down, or if we invert the polarity, it will go down and then up. So let's have a play with that. You can hear a lot of really interesting kind of wobble sounds, and again, when we speed up that LFO into the audio rates, we get these kind of buzzy and more metallic, harsher sounds. So that's it for the basic features of the LFO and the basic modulation on the front of the Moog. In the next video, we'll be taking a quick look at the more advanced things we can do with the LFO using the patch bay.